Welcome to the Quaker State 500 at Pocono International Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Now, to officially start today's Quaker State 500, we have a special guest, Sławek Walesa, the 15-year-old son of Poland's Solidarity labor leader Lech Walesa, with the 4 most famous words in racing in Polish.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
And now all 26 cars fire their engines. For the driver, everything is magnified. The noise, the crowd, the speed, the roar of the engines, the smell of the exhaust fumes. It is all mingled in the senses of these 26 men as they are about to go 500 miles, 200 laps, 600 left-hand turns on the tri-oval at Pocono as we go racing on a Sunday afternoon. It is a perfect Sunday afternoon for racing. The temperature in the mid-70s, and we do have a cooling breeze. Hi, everybody. I'm Charlie Jones, and here at Pocono, we're located just a short 2-hour drive from downtown New York City. In our ongoing coverage of IndyCar racing this year, the big story has been the Drivers' Championship. As you can see, Danny Sullivan has the lead. 2-time defending champion Bobby Rahal is now in second place, followed by Al Unser Jr., Rick Mears, and Michael Andretti. And what does that mean? Well, that simply means you cannot make a mistake, as the winner of each event receives 20 points. Second place is worth 16, followed by 14, 12, 10, and then on down the line. The hottest driver, Danny Sullivan. 2 weeks ago, he won the Michigan 500 at a record pace. And joining me on today's telecast, one of only 3 men, along with Danny Sullivan and Mario Andretti, to win the Indianapolis 500, the Michigan 500, and the Pocono 500, Johnny Rutherford.
You know, Charlie, the 500-mile race is the premier event of IndyCar racing. And I think it's a true test of the car and driver, because if you press the car too hard, you stand to have a failure and have the car break on you. If you don't press it hard enough, they'll run off and leave you. The track here at Pocono, with 3 turns, 3 straightaways, one of the turns is particularly slick. The track is a little bumpy. The drivers have been complaining of it, and we've seen some incidents in qualifying and practice. So I think the big thing for the driver here is probably to be able to maintain concentration for the 500 miles.
Okay, Johnny, now let's take a look at the drivers that will challenge this 2.5-mile super speedway. On the pole is Rick Mears. He's won here 3 times. In the middle of row 1, Danny Sullivan. He is leading the driving championship. And outside row 1 is Bobby Rahal, who is now second in that driving championship race. Row 2, look at the winners. Al Unser has won 39 times. Mario Andretti has won 51 times, and A.J. Foyt leads them all with 67 wins. Row 3, Scott Brayton. This has been a disappointing season. Maybe today his luck will turn. Emerson Fittipaldi has led in 3 of his last 4 races, and Raul Boisel now running a 1988 Lola that was purchased from A.J. Foyt. Row 4, Derek Daly has had only 1 top 5 finish in 9 outings. Al Unser Jr., 7 IndyCar wins, all on road courses. He's never won on an oval. Michael Andretti also 7 IndyCar wins, 2 on road courses, 5 on the ovals. Row 5, John Andretti, first full season driving Indy cars. R.E. Lyondike, 2 weeks ago, he was last at Michigan. He lost an engine on the 7th lap. And Tony Bettenhausen, 4th at the Michigan 500, his best finish since 1981. The rest of the field, row 6, Roberto Guerrero, Gordon Johncock, and Howdy Holmes. At 7, Randy Lewis, Billy Vukovich, and Dick Simon. Row 8, Rich Volger, Scott Atchison, and John Jones. And row 9, Theo Fabi and Bill Kruger. That's the field. Now let's go down to Gary Gerald.
Well, Charlie, as mentioned, a piece of Indy history has come to Rick Mears this season, as he's the only man to have ever sat on the pole for all 3 500-mile events in one season. And it was nearly a Penske sweep of the front row, just as we saw at Indianapolis in the month of May. Danny Sullivan today starts 2nd. Al Unser starts 4th. All drive PC-17 chassis designed for Roger Penske. All are powered by Chevrolet. And what a season it has been for Team Penske. The numbers certainly bear it out. They have led 89% of the miles run on the 500-mile races this year. year, and in all events this season, they have led 50% of the laps run. Mears, of course, won at Indianapolis. Sullivan won 2 weeks ago at Michigan and the other 500-milers. By any standard, this has to be the team to beat today here at Pocono. But if there can be a spoiler to end the Chevrolet dominance of this IndyCar season, it could well be the man who fills out the front row. He drives a Lola chassis. It's powered by a Judd, and Sally Larvick is in his pit.
Thank you very much, Gary. And Bobby Rahal could indeed prove to be the spoiler for the Penske team. His team manager, Steve Horn, says that the Judd engine is in the same position that the Chevy engine was in just a year ago, in a developmental stage, only with one main exception. The Judd engine has already proven itself to be reliable and consistent. In fact, Bobby Rahal is the only driver in the IndyCar series who has finished every race this season. The problem with the Judd engine has been one of horsepower, but even the True Sports team is gaining on that. They have increased horsepower 8 to 10% from the beginning of the season. And for the first time this year, Bobby Rahal and the Judd engine sit in the front row. The Judd engine has proven it can last. Now, if it continues to go fast, then Chevy-powered dominance could be a thing of the past. Now, let's go up to the booth with Charlie Jones.
All right, thank you, Sally. We'll be back with the Quaker State 500 in just a moment. And welcome back to the Quaker State 500 here at Pocono. The car cam aboard Teo Fabi's car. The weather, it is almost ideal, Johnny Rutherford. Temperature 75 degrees, humidity 60%. We talked about a little bit of wind. The forecast is for sunny throughout the afternoon. Interesting course here at Pocono.
Yes, Charlie, the back straightaway that the cars were on is extremely rough, always has been, into turn number 2, which is the slick turn that the drivers have been complaining about. This is a 2.5-mile course, and this place really keeps you on your toes.
It can get bumpy, right? And you've got to watch it or the car will get away from you.
Yeah, it's one of those where you have to pay attention all day. Concentration is the big thing.
And now the car is coming through turn 3 to the front straight as we await the green flag. Mears, Sullivan, and Rahal in the front row, but watch when the green flag goes out. It is there. They can go 5 abreast here at Pocono. And it is Mears and Sullivan challenging for the lead. And they are 5 abreast, and Rick Mears will take us to turn number 1.
Rick Mears has really got this place down. You know, he's a 3-time winner here, and he won it last year. He's done extremely well.
Danny Sullivan is running second, and Mario Andretti now has moved up to challenge for second. He is running in third, and of course we're only about 40 minutes from his home.
Now this particular point in the race where you have all of the cars grouped together, the tremendous vacuum of all of the cars and the buffeting, you have to be very cautious because the roughness of the track lends to that, and you can get into the wall in just an instant.
So the 2 Penske cars, 2 of the 3 are running right up front. It is Rick Mears, Danny Sullivan, and then Mario Andretti, and then here comes A.J. Foyt challenging Emerson Fittipaldi for 4th, but Fittipaldi holds on. A.J., first time that they came around, we looked for him in the outside of row number 2, but he was way back. What had happened?
Well, they must have had a problem starting the car, and he got a late start out of the pit. So there he is. There's obviously nothing wrong, and he's right up in there. A.J. Foyt is a 4-time winner here at Pocono, and of course we can look for him. He's been hungry for a long time. This might be the day for A.J.
The hot early driver is Emerson Fittipaldi. He started in 8th, and he has already moved up to 4th as we picked up a moment ago. It is Rick Mears, Danny Sullivan running 1-2, Andretti, Fittipaldi, A.J. Foyt, and then Big Al Unser, followed by Bobby Rahal and Little Al Unser and Michael Andretti.
You know, the situation here is I think we see the guys that are testing, laying back, finding that comfortable pace. Here we see Rick Mears and Danny Sullivan, both the Penske drivers in PC-17s. Chevrolet's out front going for it. Of course, I think it's a little early for this kind of racing, but it's interesting to watch.
Yellow flag is out. We have a yellow flag out. And oil in turn 1 from the Dick Simon car number 22, is the report that we have in from the race course. And so the yellow flag is out.
This is not the kind of racetrack that you want to have oil to sneak up on you, because it's very fast here. This track has always been fast, and it's been one that you have to concentrate on. And if you have
any diversity at all out there, such as oil in turn 1. It can be a problem if you smoke down in there at 220 miles an hour, and bang, there it is. That wall is awfully hard on the outside.
Is this a fun track to drive on?
It really, I've always enjoyed running here. I really have. It's the kind of track that keeps you busy, but it's one that you got some straightaway where you can relax, and it's you know, it's a little bit of both worlds, so it's kind of fun to run.
Dick Simon has come into the pits. Rahal Boisel has also come into the pits under the yellow, and there's a look at Dick Simon as you saw the early standings.
And Dick Simon's the reason for the yellow. He was blowing a little oil out the back, and
there's Rahal Boisel. They're working on his car.
Taking the engine cover off, and that could be serious. I don't know what the problem might be there, but they're digging into it. They got the side pod cover up, so obviously he's got maybe some electrical problems. That's where the black box might reside, and they're in there trying to change that maybe, or to get the car ready.
Why should you have trouble so early in the race?
That's one of the mysteries of racing, Charlie. It's incredible to try to, you know, figure out what can happen, but there are so many things that can happen. I think Gary Gerald in the pits may have an answer for us.
Gary?
Yes, indeed, John. We got a quick word, Johnny, with Doug Shearson, who's here on the wall, and they reported a misfire. In fact, Doug on this side. Can you tell us what happened, Doug?
At the start, Rahal radioed in that the electrics weren't functioning properly and that the engine was not running cleanly at high RPM, so we brought him in to check the electrics.
Got to be frustrating, I know.
When we're running so well all weekend, to have this happen right at the start, this is disappointing, but we'll get the hot one back out.
We hope so, Doug. Thank you. Let's go back upstairs quickly.
And Rick Mears has come into the pit. Why would he come in so early?
Well, I don't know. It appears they're just doing a routine fueling. There's something else. They're concerned around the cockpit. They don't take any. There's no engine covers off or anything. So it's really hard to say unless they're making an adjustment in the cockpit that something's come adrift in there that Mears has to have fixed. I don't know.
Can the yellow and early yellow then work to an advantage, like to Rahal Boisel and to Rick Mears?
Well, you know, they're going to have a little more fuel now. They both added fuel to the cars, and they go back out, so they can extend a little bit. That could put them in a good position.
48 seconds on the pit stop under the yellow for Rick Mears.
Well, of course.
So he'll be at the back of the field.
Yes, that's the only sad part or bad part about making a pit stop like this is the fact that you go back to the back of the queue and you've got to come back up through. So
we understand they'll go green on this lap, so he's going to have to hustle just to catch up to the back of.
I think there's one more lap.
Is there going to be one more?
Yes,
okay.
there's still a truck on the track, and so they're at this point getting everyone in line, and it'll be one more lap. So Rick will catch up to the end of the pack, but he still has the entire field to go back through to get to the front again.
You mentioned when we talked in the opening that there've been some problems and can be problems on this racetrack, and the car cam is aboard the number 8 car. That is Teo Fabi's car, and he had some problems on Friday.
Yes, he did. He had one of those unfortunate things happen in qualifying that you don't like to have happen. He made contact with the wall. Here, you see his car wobble on this replay. It comes around, he does a 360, slams into the wall, and it's all over. Fortunately for Teo on this particular thing, he was coming down to take the green flag. He almost makes the start-finish line here, and it stops just in time to save him that lap.
So it didn't count, right?
Right.
Tony Bettenhausen started at 15th and has moved up to 10th in the first couple of laps of the race before we went under the yellow. And we also had a report on R.A. Lyondike that his car wouldn't start this morning, and the crew doesn't expect it to last very long. So we'll keep an eye on that also.
Tony has been doing well the last couple of races. He's been able to move up and finish good. So I think we have a report from Gary Gerald down in the pits again.
Yeah. Johnny, we're checking here with the Penske crew. The problem relates to one of the shocks. Rick radioed in that there was no air in the shock. We also had a report then that there was oil somewhere back around one of the shocks, or some type of fluid. I shouldn't say it's oil. We don't know specifically what, but it's a problem with the shock. That's the problem for Rick Mears as we check in now with Sally Larkin.
Dick Simon pulled into the pits with a oil problem. As he came in, they started fanning him. He was having trouble breathing. Apparently the exhaust fumes got to him. Diane Simon, how does he look? How's he doing?
Well, I've never seen this. Hasn't never happened before. And he couldn't get his visor up, and the way the wind is blowing, the exhaust fumes were blowing back into the cockpit, and it got up, and they couldn't get his attention.
Okay, well, hopefully he's okay. Right now, they're working on the car. Let's go back to Charlie.
Hey, we've got a crash. That in turn 3, coming out of 3?
Yes.
And the yellow, of course, back out.
Just before the start-finish line in 3.
And that's Ari Lyndike.
And he's done some serious damage to the front of that car. Looks like he went straight in. Ari is unhooking and trying to get himself out of the car.
All right, and we'll go back and pick up what happened to Ari Lyndike. And he was in 10th place, and there he is.
Yes, he spun the car, obviously trying to get up to speed. Made a very hard impact with the wall in turn 3. The front of the car is severely damaged. We certainly hope that he's not injured badly. He's trying to get out of the car now. It looks like his feet were not pinned in by the accident, but he is getting him out of the car at this point.
In qualifying at the Meadowlands, he went into the wall. When we asked you about it, he said that his foot slipped off with the pads when he was going from the accelerator to the brake when he was doing a heel toe there, and that it slipped and caught in between, and he went into the wall there. I'm not sure if that's what happened here. That's what happened before. But this is the 5th straight race now that Lyndike, for one reason or another, has not finished.
Well, that's a shame. We always hate to see that, and of course they're trying to extricate him from the car now, and obviously he does have some foot injuries.
All right, as they are working on Ari Lyndike, then we'll take a timeout. The current standings, Danny Sullivan in front. Back in a moment. One lap to go under the yellow. Now let's go down to Gary Gerald.
Well, Charlie, the problem for Rick Mears, we mentioned deals with the shocks. They've been working diligently at the back of the car, replacing the shocks under this yellow while they tended to Ari Lyndike. Mears can only sit patiently. He has lost 3 laps at this point, and now the 4th as the field goes by. So it's going to be a long afternoon, but remember that national championship point chase. The man who's won here 3 times in the past clearly doesn't have good odds of winning again today, but at least he hopes to get back in the hunt. It still may be a couple of more minutes before they can get the repairs complete.
And so the standings with now Danny Sullivan leading, Mario Andretti second, Emerson Fittipaldi is third, followed by A.J. Foyt, and then Big Al Unser Sr., Bobby Rahal, Little Al Unser Jr., Michael Andretti, Tony Bettenhausen, Derek Daly. Ari Lyndike went into the wall, as you saw before we went away to commercial. Now he has been taken to the infield hospital, and here he was just moments ago. Into the ambulance and into the infield hospital.
Being put into the ambulance, that's a shame. Obviously, Ari had some foot damage, and his car went very straight into the wall, and those things are bound to happen, and it's a shame.
Sally Larvick is at the infield hospital, and as soon as a doctor comes out to give us an update, of course, we'll go down to her immediately. The posted awards for today's race, $600,000, 26 cars starting, 200 laps, 500 miles, and Johnny Rutherford, my broadcast partner, holds the race record set in 1974. Rick Mears is still working, trying to get him started. Otherwise, he's going to be 5 down as the green flag is out. And we go back to racing as Danny Sullivan, Mario Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi, A.J. Foyt, Big Al, Bobby Rahal, Little Al, and Michael Andretti go screaming down the front straight.
Now we've got the cars spread out a little bit. Hopefully we can get some racing in, Charlie. This has been somewhat. We had two green laps, and then everything else was yellow.
2 laps of racing out of the first dozen. AJ and Big Al Unser. AJ is in 4th, Al Unser is in 5th, and challenging for 4th.
You know, I drove AJ's car 2 weeks ago in Michigan, and it's a nice race car. So AJ could be the sleeper today. I'm going to put a few shekels on AJ, I think, because he's good on this racetrack.
And you also said that the car was a little bit dicey, and you were able to work some of the bugs out.
Well,
maybe not all of them, but some of them.
Yes, we were able to help, and they had some problems. Of course, we had the fire, but that was Michigan. This is Pocono, and there we see 14, it's Al Unser Sr., who was my pick today. I think if he doesn't have any problems, that's going to be my choice for the victory, because he too does well on this racetrack.
How much of a key is it to being comfortable on a racetrack?
Well, I think it's everything. You know, it's you've got your car working and you can go out there, run your own pace, which is maybe is, you know, quick enough to keep in the lead lap with the leaders. Then you've got a chance at being there in the right place at the right time at the end.
Danny Sullivan, Mario Andretti running second. Fittipaldi is third. A.J. Foyt, Al Unser, Bobby Rahal, Al Unser Jr., Michael Andretti. So we stay the same. Rick Mears pit stop, 9 minutes and 42 seconds, and he is down 5 laps. Raul Boisel is coming into the pits. Meanwhile, Dick Simon is still in the pits. He may be just out of the race. We don't have a report on that yet. Let's go down to Sally.
They're still examining Aaron Leyendijk, but they have brought out his clothing, and this is his left shoe. As you can see, it's torn up pretty badly. I understand that he's had some foot damage, Dr. Dave Crippen.
He was going to try to pull his legs up a little bit. He knew he was going to hit the wall, and as soon as he hit, his leg was in an upraised position a little bit, and he banged his right knee and his left ankle. And so he has a contusion of his right knee and a small laceration and some swelling on his left ankle. So we're going to take him over to the Horton Center, where we have a portable x-ray device over there that we could x-ray it, and we'll let Terry Tremble deal with him over there.
How serious?
The rest of him is fine.
The rest of him is okay. He's alive. He's alert. He's talking.
He's alert and awake, and just bumps and bruises. It appears as if we're going to take a little closer look at him over at the Horton Center.
Hey, good news from Aaron Leyendijk. Thanks, Dave Crippen. Back to you, Charlie.
All right, thank you, Sally. Emerson Fittipaldi is running third. Mario Andretti is second, and Emmo is trying to catch him.
Emerson's been hanging right in there. He's another one. You know, once Emerson gets the feel of the car and gets things strung out, he might be another one of those sleepers that's picking his pace. Of course, he's hanging on to Mario Andretti. Mario's no slouch at this place. And of course, it's backyard for Mario, and he wants to be able to stay. He's passing him. No, Mario shut the door on him. Came back down. That's some of the experience Mario has at this place. That's the way you have to do it.
Now, how will Fittipaldi try and set him up again?
Well, it'll be the same situation. He'll sit there and dog Mario, stay in Mario's mirrors, get close enough, and watch for Mario to make that one mistake or slip, which is not very often for Mario Andretti. But he'll wait for that, take opportunity, get up beside him, try to take him over into a turn. And that's hard to do on Mario as well, because Mario will run very fast when he's in racing.
A.J. Foyt running fourth, and Big Al Unser running fifth. And Big Al is closing in on A.J.
Closing the gap there a little bit, and that's be interesting to watch this one. This might become a battle here, because Al will start wanting to close up on his teammate Danny Sullivan to try to close that gap and make sure that Danny doesn't get too far away so he can stay within striking distance.
Danny Sullivan's speed 194.89 miles per hour, and he has a 2.4 second lead. There's the leader, and he's going to lap Raul Boisel right here. Danny Sullivan leading the Quaker State 500 here at Pocono.
Boy, Danny's on a roll. He won the Michigan 500 a couple of weeks ago, and he's doing extremely well, leading the points. So it's you know, Danny's got it going for him, and that's a great feeling to be in. I've had that, fortunately for me, a couple of times during several seasons, and it's great to be able to be in that catbird seat.
You mentioned, Johnny, the fact that it's bumpy here, that some drivers like it, this race course, some don't. Well, we heard some diverse opinions about Pocono's racetrack.
Ever since 1983, when I came here for the very first time, it is a rough racetrack. And they have made some improvements to the front straightaway since that time. And really, the last couple of years, it has remained the same.
You know, the wall is pretty old, and I think it needs a little bit of fixing up. But you know, those are the things that concern you a little bit.
It's notorious for its lack of condition, and I think that includes the safety aspects of it.
Let's talk about what we like about the place is the fact that it is more of a driver's course because of the radius of the corners and the fact that you're actually getting out of the throttle here, even qualifying, and you have 3 different radius corners with 3 different bankings, and so it's got that plus.
It's the same for everybody. I've always figured the bumps is a tool. If I can get the car to work across the bumps, then I've got an advantage if somebody else can't. So, you know, I think that's very key as far as this track goes, if you can get the car to operate properly on those bumps. And I think if you use that as a tool as far as the debris and that kind of thing goes, that's where Lady Luck's got to play her hand.
interesting that Rick Mears would talk about getting the car to operate properly. He's had all kinds of problems with his car today.
Yes, but unfortunately, it hasn't been chassis problems. It's been the problem with well, I guess it would be chassis, the shock absorber. And it, you know, to put him 4 or 5 laps down, that's going to be really tough to overcome.
Let's go down to Sally Larder.
The drivers are not only complaining about the rough surface, but they're also complaining about the debris on the track. This is what was picked up this morning by Chief Steward Wally Dallenbach. He says he doesn't know how half this stuff gets on the track, but it continues to be there, and the drivers are very upset. There have been a reported 50 punctured tires just this weekend. The drivers are threatening possibly to boycott next year unless something is done. Charlie?
All right, thank you, Sally. And this is the leader, Danny Sullivan. Mario Andretti is running second, followed by Emerson Fittipaldi, A.J. Foyt, and Big Al Unser Sr. Back in a moment. We come back to racing. A.J. Foyt and Big Al Unser. Al is in 5th. A.J. Foyt is in 4th. You saw him challenge him. A.J. hold him off, and now he'll try and set him up again. How in the world do you set up A.J. Foyt to pass him?
Well, I'll tell you what, that was classic. We saw Al catch him because A.J. had to get out of the throttle just a little bit over the tunnel turn in 2. And when he did, Al closed the gap. He was able to run harder through that turn, so he got up beside him and challenged him going into the 3rd turn. That's the classic way you do it here.
So now he tries to pick him up on the outside, but A.J. will use some of the back markers, some of the lap traffic. They're going to hold him off, and now we'll set it up again.
Yes, there you can see Al does get through that tunnel turn 2, a little better than A.J., and he is able to close the gap. So we'll have to watch that. That's where he can pull up, get beside him. If he can get dead beside A.J. going into turn 3, he can take him over and make the pass.
Now, turn 3 is the flattest of the 3 turns.
Yes, it is, and that is the key to the speed around the Pocono Raceway, is to be able to get through that turn extremely well. No pushing, no loose, flat out.
And now closing the gap once again on A.J. Foyt. Now A.J. starts to open it up on him through turn 1.
Now the closing rate at a place like this is incredible. You can be there one instant, you can be 10 car lengths, 15 car lengths back the next. You just have to wait until the guy makes a slip or he gets out of the throttle to make his car feel comfortable. Then you're able to make that gain and get back up there and challenge again.
All right, we've talked about it from the challenger now. They're coming on to slowing traffic, and that, of course, causes different problems. Is that if A.J. can get through quicker, then Al has got to work his way through, but it also can work against A.J. Foyt.
Yes, it depends on how you get stuck in that traffic. If you catch a slower car and it's at the wrong time, entering a turn, you've got to get off and wait on that slower car, and, of course, that gives Al then the chance to pull up on A.J.
And now he takes him. And Al finally worked his way, is that right, around A.J. Foyt? And so 2 of the 3 Penske cars are running well.
Yes, yes, and that's, you know, Rick Mears, the day's not over for him, and it depends on how things go. You know, if he gets a chance to make up some laps, catch the leaders, get in the lead, get a yellow lap, get it back, he can work that to his advantage, and he could possibly pull this thing out, but it's going to be extremely tough, Charlie.
With a lot of racing left this afternoon, can you pick up? Is it possible to pick up 4 or 5 laps?
We have a car off of turn number 3. Yes, that's Phil Kruger, whose car had problems in qualifying here. He crashed. They have rebuilt the car. He's out there. It gave a lot of smoke, so evidently he's got an engine problem, and the yellow flag is out.
And the yellow flag out once again here at the Quaker State 500. And here's what happened.
Oh, he spun it.
That
was the smoke we saw. Oh, he spun the car and evidently.
Howdy Holmes comes into the pit. And he overshot his pit. And he'll keep going. And now Mario Andretti with problems in his pit as another car was coming out as he was coming in. And that was the 55 car, Scott Atchison. And now they got to push Mario down to his pit because he ended up right in front of Emerson Fittipaldi's pit.
Well, that is amazing. You know, it just shows to go you how quickly things can change. We've got a flurry of pit stops here.
Now let's go to Sally.
It was pandemonium for a while in Mario Andretti's pit, but he was able to bring the car into the pit after hitting the wall. Right now, it looks like routine. Everything's normal as possible. They're refueling the car. It's down off the jacks, and Mario Andretti's off.
And Mario going back out to the racetrack. Bobby Rahal also pitted, and he is headed back out. So we have the yellow here at the Quaker State 500, and we will back in just a moment. We're back at the Quaker State 500. It is Danny Sullivan in the lead. Emerson Fittipaldi is now second. Scott Brayton is third. A.J. Foyt has moved up to fourth. And Matteo Fabi is running fifth, and the green flag is out as Danny Sullivan goes down the main straight. He did not pit. And following him in the order was Dick Simon, but Dick Simon is a couple of 3 laps down as he spent some times in the pits. Emerson Fittipaldi is running second, and there he is going through turn 1 as he is chasing Danny Sullivan, who is quite a ways out in front of him. And there is Emerson Fittipaldi, who is currently second. Right now it is Sullivan, Fittipaldi, Brayton, Foyt, Fabi, Big Al Unser, Mario Andretti, Bobby Rahal, and Al Unser Jr. Now when Mario Andretti came into the pits and Scott Atchison was pulling out and he hit his brakes and just slid sideways, we do not believe that he touched the wall. And then he was pushed on down to his pit, and then he is back out and going through. That is the leader, Danny Sullivan. This is the front straight here at Pocono.
Danny is really flying, and here comes Emerson Fittipaldi taking that second position. Danny has a substantial lead.
7.3 seconds.
He's just taking it. That's the kind of position you dream about, Charlie, is to have an opportunity to be out in front that far, but that could dissolve in an instant. Just, you know, it's incredible at closing speed. At this speed, how that can change. So it'll be interesting to watch. Emerson Fittipaldi has been right there all day, so he could be our sleeper.
Leader's average speed, 189.04 miles an hour. You mentioned this, the quickness of the closing. What does that do from a driver's standpoint? Concentration, how alert do you have to stay?
You have to maintain unwavering concentration. You can't think about anything or get down in the cockpit looking at instruments. You're going too fast. Things are happening too quick.
And you see Scott Brayton, the number 91 car, as he goes by. He is now in fifth. It is Sullivan, Fittipaldi, Big Al Unser, Mario Andretti, Scott Brayton. A.J. Foyt is now running sixth. And there is Brayton
and
Little
Al Jr. down the back. It looks like Brayton pulls him just a little bit there. He must have a little muscle. Fittipaldi slowing. He's there. He's down on the apron, going slow, coming to the pits, obviously. Got a problem. That's a shame.
So Emerson Fittipaldi, who ran well at the Meadowlands, running well here today now, has a problem as he has slowed down and will be headed towards the pits. Second at Indianapolis this year. Now let's go down to Gary Gerald.
Charlie, we're down here at the nose of the Craco team's car. Michael Andretti clearly out of the competition with the helmet off. Engine problems, I understand, Michael.
Yeah, something internally went. I don't know what it was.
After that third-place run in the 500 at Michigan, I know that your hopes were higher in this Lola chassis, but it's got to be so disappointing, especially in your own backyard.
Yeah, it is. You know, they're all disappointing when you drop out. So, but you know, the car was running half decent. We were just hanging in there. We were going to make some adjustments in the pit stops, but never got a chance.
Track conditions today under this sunshine.
Slippery, very slippery in turn 3. I don't know why.
Okay, thank you. Michael Andretti, disappointed, of course, Charlie.
And of course, it was turn 3 that Ari Lyondike slipped, and we also had a spin in turn 3.
Might be an explanation of what's going on down there. Very slippery, and that could have caused Ari and Phil Kruger's accidents.
Danny Sullivan's average speed, 193.09 miles per hour. And there's the top 10.
Danny is flying. He has it hooked up today. It could be that he'll double up and have 2 of the 500-mile races in his dossier before long.
And car number 91 is Scott Brayton. Al Unser Jr. Car number 3 challenges him underneath, and he holds him off again. That is the battle for fifth behind Sullivan, Unser, Mario Andretti, and A.J. Foyt. And in the pit now is Danny Sullivan. He did not pit under the yellow.
This will hurt him because he has to make a green flag stop. I don't know why they did that, but then that puts them on a schedule, I guess, and Roger Penske's very good for that.
And so Al Unser Sr., Big Al, is now the leader.
Well, that's the guy I said earlier that I had my eyes on because he's very confident with that car and around this racetrack. I think we want to go down to Sally Larvick in the pits now.
We mentioned that Emerson Fittipaldi was slowing down on the track, and that's because we are told he has an intermittent shutdown problem. The engine will start up, and then it'll shut down, and then it'll start up again, allowing him to go slower and faster. Apparently, they're not going to bring him in. They're going to keep him out on the track, hoping it corrects itself. Well, we understand now from Charlie Jones that he is slowing down. Apparently, this is more than a problem than they thought it was. We'll just have to wait and see if he does come into the pits or if he stops altogether. Charlie?
Sally is slowing down again. The second time that this has happened. Now, Johnny, can you run this out on the track, or is it better to bring it in?
No, it's better to bring it in and have a look at it. I think, you know, he would lose so much time on the track going that slow. He couldn't be competitive, so it's best to stop, take a look at it, find out exactly what it is.
What causes something like that?
Well, it's hard to say. Evidently, it must be the electrics. There we see him going on by. He didn't come in the pits to have a look-see, and it's intermittent, as Sally told us, so obviously it's working good now, and he runs down in there and it quits on him again. So that would be very exasperating.
And the leader is Big Al Unser Sr. Mario Andretti is second. A.J. Foyt is third. Little Al Unser is running fourth, and it's Bobby Rahal fifth. Scott Brayton, Derek Daly, Danny Sullivan, the early leader now with a pit stop under the green, is running eighth. Teo Fabi is ninth. Emerson Fittipaldi now has dropped back to 10th. And remember, you said how things can change. Just a few moments ago, he was running second.
Well, Danny Sullivan now is in 8th position, but that's still pretty good. He's in striking position as fast as he is able to go. It appears it won't be long till he'll be back to the lead.
And Teo Fabi is slowing down through turn 1.
Oh, there he's off of the grass. It's all over.
Yeah.
You see him blocking up the right front.
There was some smoke coming out of his engine, and then he just pulled off into the infield grass.
You see, he paused.
And the yellow is
out. He want to get out of the car, but he was talking to the crew saying, it's all over, guys. I'm getting out of here. And that's just what he's going to do, is get out, go find him a cool drink, and watch the rest of the race.
The yellow flag is out.
We're starting to get a flurry of pit stops now. Scott Brayton, who was running up front, is making his pit stop. There we see him coming in, sliding the front tires. On the marks, the crew goes to work.
Changing the outside rubber and left inside.
You see, that worked to his advantage now. He was able to stretch just this little bit longer, and now he had a caution to be able to stop on. It puts him back into position. Here we see Teo's car down in turn 1, the crew looking over the thing, the kart safety guys making sure that it's not going to catch fire or anything. There we have Scotty Brayton back into the action.
And we are still running under the yellow. Now let's go down to Gary Jarrow.
Well, we're down here in the Danny Sullivan pit. Team manager Derek Walker talking with Nigel Bennett and Chuck Sprague. You're out of sequence on pit stops. What was the strategy?
Well, I hope it was a good strategy. We hoped we were going to get good mileage, which we may well have got, but we had a bit of a reading early on that our fuel was getting low, which really didn't really ring true as far as the information we had going into the race. So we decided not to take a chance and stay out and wait for this yellow. We decided to come in early. It put us back a little bit, but it's a long way to go, so we're okay.
All right, thank you, Derek. They wish that yellow would have waved just a couple of laps sooner.
But the key statement, there's still a long way to go, and there is. This, of course, is the Quaker State 500 here at Pocono. Al Unser Sr. now leading, Andretti, Foyt, Little Al, and the rest of the top 10. We'll be back in a moment. John Andretti as we run under the yellow. I made the statement that he led an IndyCar race for the first time. Well, that was true, but it is not official, as he came into the pits under the yellow, did not cross the start-finish line, so that lead did not go into the computer, therefore it does not count.
Well, that's the way it goes, you know. If he had just stayed out one more lap, he would have had the distinction.
54 laps complete. This will bring you up to date. We've had 3 leaders, 2 lead changes, average speed 122.71. Cautions 5 for 26 laps with 5 cars out of the race. And we're back to the green. Al Unser Sr. in the yellow, the car number 60, the third car there is the leader with Mario Andretti running second, and he drops right behind him, and he challenges as they run into some lap traffic. Of course, that is the traffic that was out in front of them under the yellow. And it is Big Al Unser and Mario Andretti right behind him. They're running 1-2 with Little Al and then Bobby Rahal running third and fourth.
Another thing that helps, Charlie, when they get the green after running like this is their tires are cooled off and they work very good for the first couple of laps, and then you get some heat built back up into them, and then you run into a slip and slide problem. So Mario was able to close up a little bit, but now you see him drift back, so they kind of seek their own level, and they're right there racing.
And Big Al Unser is going for his 9th 500-mile win, and that would tie him with A.J. Foyt. Foyt is going for his 10th. Now Sullivan passing Bobby Rahal. So Sullivan now moves into fourth. Sullivan leading early in the race. And then with that pit stop under the green, he was back to 8th and 5th and 4th. As he continues to work now with Al Unser Jr., Mario Andretti, and Big Al, the 3 cars in front of him.
Sullivan is definitely on the move. Of course, Rahal is hanging right in there as well, and these guys will probably go to the front.
Danny Sullivan running exceptionally well today.
Well, he was 2 weeks ago at Michigan. He's been doing it all season, and I think he's getting very comfortable with the car. Here he's closing in on Al Unser Jr., so he could be going for that position. And he pulls out and goes right by.
Without any problem. And you say that's just pure muscle. Leader's average speed, 192.23 miles an hour.
You can see Sullivan's car bumping from side to side there. It shows you the racetrack, how the car's working, what he's able to do, taking it across those bumps. Must not be bothering him because he's moving to the front.
What do you do in the case of Little Al Unser? You're running fourth, you're running rather well, and all of a sudden Sullivan just flies by you.
Well, you're doing all you can do, and so you just sit there and watch and say, hey, either that guy's going to win the race or he's going to crash because he's going too fast, and you just sit and wait and do all you can do. A lot of guys will try, especially younger guys will try to press if they're doing exceptionally well and try to press the car and make it do something it won't do, and that's when you get in trouble.
And Danny Sullivan now just 3.6 seconds behind Al Unser as he closes down on him. He'll have to get past Mario Andretti. That will be his next challenge. It is Al Unser Sr., Mario Andretti, Danny Sullivan, Little Al, Bobby Rahal, A.J. Foyt, Roberto Guerrero, Derek Daly, John Andretti, Tony Bettenhausen. Those are the 10 cars that are all running on the lead lap. Danny Sullivan, earlier we asked, what did he think about the high speeds that they are now running? And the answer of the leader, of the man challenging for the lead.
This is a super competitive, and you got to fight for everything, and the pace that we're running. Well, at Michigan, we were running faster than everybody qualified, but even the other events we've been, everybody's running on sort of qualifying pace and for the whole race, and people aren't braking, and that's the thing that you're going to have to do for the rest of the season to win it.
And that says it all.
That sums it up right there. And Danny Sullivan is practicing what he's preaching there. He's moving right on up, chasing his teammate Al Unser, who's in the lead. And Al Sr. is obviously comfortable. He's running a good, strong pace. Mario Andretti is right in there, so it's going to be a dogfight.
Al Unser Sr., Mario Andretti, Danny Sullivan, and then Little Al, Bobby Rahal, A.J. Foyt. But right now, it seems as if the top 3 cars are running, that they are the 3 best running cars at this point in the race. Big Al, Mario Andretti, and Danny Sullivan.
That can change, as we mentioned earlier, so rapidly. You can have a punctured tire. You can have something, a caution come up at the wrong place, and everybody closes up on you. You come in, change tires, something's not quite right when you get back out, then you got a problem, you suddenly drift back. So it's interesting to watch how things change in the complexion of this race as it unfolds.
From Big Al Unser's standpoint, everything seems to be going rather smooth. It's been an easy race so far.
Well, it's never that easy, Charlie.
I knew you'd say that, yeah.
Because of you can see how the cars are bobbing and weaving, moving back and forth, jitterbugging down that straightaway. And that's, you've got to pay attention. You've really got to be on your toes to keep up. So, you know, and you see somebody coming up, closing up, making a pass like we see Rahal moving up on little Al Unser here. You know, you've got to be aware of everything around you and all that's going on. And it's when you're in Al Unser's position, that's the best position of all because you're out in front. And all you've got to do is concentrate on staying there.
And little Al Unser, who is running in fourth, now being challenged by Bobby Rahal. Rahal is second in the point standing, 17 points behind Danny Sullivan, and Bobby Rahal is the two-time defending champion. And as we mentioned earlier, amongst the top 5, 6, 7 drivers, the top drivers, you cannot afford to make a mistake. Rick Mears out here, he will not pick up any points in the driving championship. That is certainly going to hurt him.
Well, yes, and that's the way the game unfolds, unfortunately, sometimes. It's going to be interesting to watch Rahal here to see if he's been playing possum, if he can catch up to little Al, make his move and get by him without any problem. I don't think he's going to that easily. Al Unser is a stiff competitor, strong racer.
Rick Mears out of the competition, car behind the wall. Now let's go down to Gary Gerald. He's with him. Gary?
You started in the pole, you had some IndyCar history that we talked about at the top of the show, but here you are out of this competition.
Well, you know, when it's your day, it's your day. When it's not, it's not. So, you know, we had a little bit of a shock problem right at the beginning, and then we were just going to go ahead and try to unlap ourselves. The Pennzoil car was running great. You know, it was working really well, and so we thought we'd just, you know, keep chugging along and try to get ourselves unlapped and see what we could do with it. And then the accident in turn 2, I was behind 2 other cars coming through turn 2 on the yellow, packing up, and weren't really running that fast. And all of a sudden they threw the brakes on, and I pulled out to see what was going on by them, and there was parts scattered all over, and I wedged something under the front of the car and lost the steering, and it just went straight, you know, bounced off the side of the wall. So.
Could have been a much worse situation than it turned out.
Oh, it absolutely, it could have been. It can always be worse.
Well, we're glad to see you're all right. Glad to see you're still smiling. Better luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Rick Mears out of the competition.
And the yellow flag is out. Emerson Fittipaldi has pulled off of the track. And we also have a report that A.J. Foyt's crew has claimed that Danny Sullivan passed A.J. under the yellow. And they say if CART does not reprimand Sullivan, they will protest the race. So we have that report in. We have Emerson Fittipaldi off of the race course here. We have the yellow out and the current standings with Big Al leading. We're still under the yellow with just about half a lap to go before we go to green with Al Unser Sr., Mario Andretti, Danny Sullivan, Little Al, Bobby Rahal, the top 5. Out of the race, Lion Dyke, Michael Andretti, FABI, Kruger, Mears, and Fittipaldi. Mears, Fittipaldi, Michael Andretti, and Lion Dyke are 4 drivers in the top 10 point standings, and they are all 4 of the top 10 in the drivers' race are out of this competition. And the green flag is out. And it is Big Al Unser, Mario Andretti, Danny Sullivan, Little Al, Bobby Rahal. In that order, the top 5. Roberto Guerrero is running 6 right behind him, and John Andretti. So the top 7 cars in the standings are all running nose to tail as we go back to racing.
This has been some really good racing. It's unfortunate. Here we see the race for the lead. Mario Andretti with cold tires or cooled down tires trying to close in to make a move, but I don't think he's got quite the steam that Al Unser's got.
But the man behind him running in 3rd is Danny Sullivan, and he does have the steam. That's Big Al Unser who is leading the race, and Sullivan, who is one of the 3 leaders of the race. Rick Mears, Danny Sullivan, and Big Al Unser, the only leaders thus far. And he dropped back. He had to pit under the green and drop back to 8th, and then was up to 5th to 4th, and now to 3rd. And there you can see the perfect order of the leaders of Unser, Andretti, Sullivan, Little Unser, Rahal, Guerrero, and John Andretti. A.J. Foyt is running 8th. Derek Daly is 9th, and Tony Bettenhausen is running 10th. And now let's go down to Gary Gerald. He's at A.J. Foyt's pit. Gary?
Charlie, we're pursuing that report of a possible protest on the behalf of A.J. Foyt, but we talked with Jack Starn. Jack here on the wall is the team manager and the chief mechanic. Jack said no protest is planned. They don't have any evidence of any foul or any claim, so they're just going on with the race, hoping that A.J. can be competitive and get a shot at his first win since 1981. Gary, now am I correct that the report that we received up here then was incorrect because they are not making the statement that Sullivan passed A.J. under the yellow? Well, I think what happens sometimes, Charlie, you'll hear radio conversations that will be monitored and somebody will question it, but whether or not somebody sees it or they've got evidence to back it up is another thing. And Jack Starn just emphatically said no protest is planned. Okay, good. Thank you, Gary. Danny Sullivan now closing on Mario Andretti. Sullivan is in third. Andretti, of course, is in second. Big Al Unser is in first. But the race right now is for second.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch Sullivan. He's going to sit there and stalk and watch for the weaknesses, which are very, very few with Mario Andretti, I can assure you. But he's going to sit there and watch for the weakness, plan his attack, move into position, wait for the right time, and then go for it. And it looks like he's got enough steam down this long straightaway, main straightaway at Pocono, that he could move in and pass at the end. That's where he's made most of his passes today.
The leader speed 194.47 miles per hour. What kind of weaknesses would he pick out?
Well, just to see where he has to lift a little bit and where he gains that gap, closes the gap on him each time. If he can sit there and close it a little bit each lap, then he can move in and get in position to try to make a pass.
Earlier we saw Emerson Fittipaldi when he had to shut down for the race. Sally Larvick is with him. Let's go down. Here's Sally Larvick and Emerson Fittipaldi.
Okay. Emerson, it's been a tough day all around for you. You came in smoking. What was the problem?
I'm very disappointed. You know, my Marlboro car was a winner today. The car was really running fast from the beginning of the race. And I was planning to have a good 500 miles, and we have a shortage on the electrical problem.
What is the smoke from?
Must be wires.
From the wires burning?
A short circuit on the wire system, and that was a few times when I was running second. That's when the engine cut, and the first time I come in. It's a shame. The car was really fantastic today.
Okay, disappointing day for Emerson. Thank you very much, Emerson. Charlie?
All right, thank you, Sally. Danny Sullivan continues to stalk Mario Andretti, and Al Unser Sr. continues to lead. And there they are, 1, 2, 3. Unser, Andretti, and Sullivan. Here's fourth, and that's little Al Unser, and right behind him is Bobby Rahal, who is running fifth. Rahal has tried to challenge little Al Unser a couple of times, but little Al has held him off pretty well.
Yes, and I think it's a case where probably Bobby Rahal doesn't want to extend himself this early in the race to try to make a pass, and so the situation becomes it's set back here and run in a comfortable position and wait and see what happens.
And we're looking at the battle of second and third. On the left is second, and that is Mario Andretti. On the right, that is third. That is Danny Sullivan. And Sullivan continues to stalk him. We just have a feeling that Sullivan perhaps has a little stronger car today, but he really hasn't made the challenge right now. Maybe he's going to just stay there for a while. The difference in first and third is 1.34 seconds. Back in a moment. As we come down the front straight, Mario Andretti passes Big Al Unser. And so Andretti, who was just kind of cruising along, he may have just snuck up on him, Johnny.
Well, it could be. You know, Mario, like I say, everybody gets a nice, comfortable position. You drop back behind some cars. Maybe he said, now's the time to flex a little muscle to see where we're going to go. I'll see if Sullivan can go with me and hang on. So this could be some strategy on Mario Andretti's part.
The first time that a non-Penske car has led in this race. And there are the two Penske cars that are still in with Rick Mears out. Running now second and third, that is Big Al and Danny Sullivan. We have a report that Big Al may be pitting here under the green.
Well, that would certainly be a shame because he's run well, and he is. He's coming into the pits.
Let's go down to Gary Gerald.
Well, we're standing on the wall. We can see the nose of the car coming into view as he comes up and he hits those marks right there. 2 weeks ago in the 500 in Michigan, he had an incident in the pit lane when he spun sideways, and they had to bring him back to the regular spot. No problem this time. Flush-mounted wheels all the way around, full load of fuel. Now at the 12.5-second mark and away in 13 and a fraction seconds. Good pit stop for Big Al Unser. And the irony of this man possibly being a contender, appearing in only 5 races this year. What a great story.
And an excellent pit stop for his crew.
Yes, those guys are always good. Penske's crews on all 3 cars can turn them out in 13 seconds.
And the leader is Mario Andretti. And he is only the 4th leader that we've had. He'll be coming in as a back markers. It is Mears, Sullivan, Big Al Unser, now Mario Andretti, the 4 leaders. Sullivan has led for 28 laps. Big Al led for 42. Mears led for the first 4.
Mario has certainly displayed some muscle here, some strength. He's been able to pull out. It'd be interesting to see if his lap times drop any, but he's in some slow traffic now, and that's going to be a little bit of a problem for him, but he'll pick his way through, and now's the time he will find out if Sullivan really wants to play the game.
And meanwhile, Bobby Rahal has made the pass on Little Al Unser, so Rahal has moved into 3rd, and Little Al Unser is now in 4th. And Mario Andretti leads in this race. They call this Mario Andretti country. He lives about 40 minutes from here, and we talked to him about that, being on his home turf.
Well, yes, obviously this is one of the couple of tracks that I can stay at home, sleep in my own bed, and still arrive here in time for practice in the morning. And the fact that, as you say, you have a lot of friends and a lot of relatives attending this, I think it's always extra special. You feel like you're getting a lot of support. Everybody likes to do good in their home field.
I think that's a comment that applies to any athlete in any sport. Little Al is going to pit. He's already pitted. In and out. I
missed
missed
quick,
that.
you didn't even see it.
No, I was busy. But he was only in for 15.5 seconds. That's the reason. Mario Andretti is leading the 18th annual Quaker State 500 with just about $90,000 out of a $600,000 purse going to the winner. Roberto Guerrero also pitted, and his pit stop was 15.2 seconds. The leader, Mario Andretti. Been deceptive. He hasn't looked at times as if the car was running as strong as it actually has been, but when he has needed it, it's all been there.
Yes, that's why I say, he might be playing possum, but then we're looking at, Danny Sullivan sitting back there. He may be playing possum too. It's very unlikely. I think he's running as comfortable, as hard as he wants to, and Mario is probably, since he's in the lead, pushing a little bit.
And just passing Little Al Unser, so that means that Little Al Unser now is a lap down. Mario running 6th in the kart PPG World Series Driving Championships with 68 points. Danny Sullivan is leading in the championship race. As Bobby Rahal running 2nd, Little Al running 3rd. Mears, who is out, is 4th, and he won't be picking up any points. And Michael Andretti is running 5th, and Michael Andretti is also out. So that's what we talked about earlier. You've got to hang around with a lot of top 5 finishes and keep those points going. If you're out of a race early, then you don't pick up any points. With 5 more races to go on the IndyCar circuit, it can certainly hurt your chances.
It's very crucial because you've got to have all of the points you can possibly get. John Andretti into the pits, obviously this is unscheduled, having a problem. It looks like a routine pit stop, though. They're not going in. They're checking the front of the radiators there. You can see the man in the side pod moving his hand around. He's checking for paper that might have blown over the screens that protect the radiators in there, because that can cause the car to overheat.
But there doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency in the pit.
I don't think so. It looks like it's just a routine pit stop.
And a routine pit stop, it's going to take more than 24 seconds. This is the Quaker State 500. A.J. Foyt is leading the 18th annual Quaker State 500. The last time that A.J. Foyt led an IndyCar race was at Milwaukee in May of 1987. He led for 1 lap. Here are the current standings. A.J. Foyt, Mario Andretti right behind him. Danny Sullivan is running third, followed by Big Al Unser and Bobby Rahal. A.J. Foyt's speed is now 191 miles an hour. And Johnny Rutherford, I think AJ's enjoying this year racing.
He is. He's going for a full circuit. He's running every race this season. He missed the Michigan race that I subbed for him, but he was ready for this one. He's coming off of his illness and his feeling bad. He was ready for this, and the car is a good race car. So I'm not surprised that AJ is right there, and I think he's getting racy again. I can see that twinkle in AJ's eye that has been missing maybe for a while, and now he's back in there. I'm sure he loves this position.
Now, when he came out and announced he was going to race this entire season, everybody said, ha, and then he will retire. But you don't think that to be the truth?
Oh, I don't think so. I'll believe AJ retiring when he retires.
And he's doing what he simply enjoys doing. Now, you mentioned the fact that he's had a bit of a health problem. Earlier, Gary Gerald had an opportunity to visit with A.J. Foyt.
AJ, first, can we check on your health? Obviously, you missed Michigan, and there was a problem. Tell us what happened there.
Well, we had some, I guess, a bruised kidneys with this head and kind of internal bleeding. So he looks all right right now, and that's the reason I didn't run the last practice here. I didn't want to run no more than I had to.
Have you had discomfort in getting ready for this race at Pocono?
Well, a little bit, yeah, but not too much. And everything's feeling pretty good, though, right now.
And AJ is slowing down. Is he going to come into the pits?
No, he's slowing in the wrong place. He's slowed down. I'll bet he's out of fuel. They may have stretched him just a little bit too far. It'll be interesting to see. He may be out of fuel coasting, because that is, you know, where he stopped. Didn't see any smoke or anything happen. Could be that they've run him too far and he's out of fuel. We'll have to check on that when he gets to the pit.
And when we were following, we had a report that we thought that, you know, that he was going to be coming into the pits at that time. So they took the gamble for one more, and this is a tragedy for AJ. Running so well and running up front, and this will certainly cost him in the standings. Let's go down to Gary Gerald.
Charlie, there's one frustrated Texan behind the wheel of car number 14 right now as he gets the water bottle. They're looking at the tires. No indication they're going to change. It's going to be fuel only. They planned to come in 1 lap earlier. They did not. They get the engine fired. They're now at 13, 14, 15 seconds. Now down off the jacks. He's away just under 18 seconds, but still frustration on the slowdown. They waited 1 lap too long.
Gary, do you know why they waited the extra lap?
No indication, Charlie. No, we were told, we thought we had the lap right on the money. They didn't go over the wall. He went by, and when he slowed, as you were reporting he slowed, the crew sensed, or they heard something on the radio, so he must have told them. They thought he was out of fuel.
Now we have the yellow flag out. There's debris on the turn. Is it turn 1? Yes, they have debris on turn 1, and so the yellow flag is out.
Oh, why couldn't that have been just a couple of laps sooner, or a lap sooner? AJ would have come in and not lost all of that time.
Tony Bettenhausen, they're taking the hood off as he is in the pits.
Mario Andretti taking advantage of this caution light and coming in to his pit.
So he's in under the yellow. Let's go down to Sally Larvin.
And Mario Andretti comes into the pits. He makes a stop on the mark. They're changing some tires, loading him with fuel. You know, Mario has suffered from the flu this weekend. He had a temperature up until yesterday, but I understand that he's feeling pretty well, and if his actions are any indication, he's feeling just fine, Charlie.
You know that he is, and it's interesting that many great athletic accomplishments by athletes who have a touch of the flu and they relax. They can't expect the world of it. You relax, and they perform at a peak of 110%. That's a known medical fact.
Yeah, the pressure's on. You know, you know you've got to mentally. There we see Bobby Rahal making a routine pit stop, but you're talking about having the flu, being a little bit under the weather, and that puts pressure on you. So you grab yourself with the bootstraps and you go on out there and get the job done, and sometimes the performances, as you say, are plus.
Yes, they really are. And in addition, the medical records will show that you get well quicker when that happens.
That's true.
I don't know when the old adrenaline starts to go. The current standings: Andretti, Sullivan, Rahal, Little Al, and A.J. Foyt. This is Charlie Jones along with Johnny Rutherford. The race summary to this point: 105 of 200 laps complete. We've had 5 different leaders: Mears, Sullivan, Big Al Unser, Mario Andretti, and A.J. Foyt. Lead changes 6, average speed over 137 miles an hour. And here are the current standings with Andretti, Sullivan, Rahal, Unser, and A.J. Foyt. And Foyt is at the end. He's on the same lap with the leaders, but he's close to the end of the lap. He's going to have to make up some time.
Yes, he really is. And that's unfortunate because he's got to go a full lap and come back around. But it could happen. If he stays right there and they get a yellow, the pace car will insert in front of the leader. He'll get his lap back.
And the green flag is out. It is Mario Andretti, Danny Sullivan, Bobby Rahal, Al Unser, Little Al, and Big Al goes after A.J. Foyt.
Doesn't quite get it done, though. There he goes. He went by. Al Unser passed A.J.
And Danny Sullivan is running second in car number 9. Bobby Rahal in the number 1 Budweiser car is running third. That's the battle for second. Today's broadcast is being produced under authority granted by Championship Auto Racing Teams. For the private use of our audience, any reproduction of this broadcast in any form of the express written permission of Championship Auto Racing Teams is expressly prohibited.
Dick.
And Danny Sullivan closing on A.J. Foyt. Now they are on the same lap, but if Sullivan gets him.
Yes, that will put A.J. a lap down, and that's not a position he wants to be in. He would like to stay right there, so if the caution comes out, it will give him a chance to get the pace car in front of him, and he'll be able to, or get the pace car behind him in front of the leader. He'll be able to make up that lap and come back up behind the field.
There's Danny Sullivan.
Just making a pass on Derek Daly in the Raynor car there, and he does it before the tunnel turn. That's one of the better places to pass. Guys like to get set up and catch a guy there. If you can get beside him just at the right place, the guy's got to back off, because if he doesn't, you squeeze him out in the gray and he could be in serious trouble.
Mario Andretti is the leader with Danny Sullivan running second, and Bobby Rahal is third.
Mario has just put A.J. 1 lap down, so he needs to get back in front of Mario if he's going to make up that lap when they get a caution.
The gamble that A.J. Foyt made, and I think that was probably his decision. Now let's go down to Garrett.
Well, there's animated discussion, to say the least, on the pit wall. One of the Lady Kart representatives is trying to explain the reasoning behind that decision, and Foyt's crew is steamed. They don't think he should be a lap down. Well, actually, technically, he's not, but they shouldn't be as far back as he is, because the pace car, they say, should have picked up the leader. It should have picked up Mario, and instead it picked up other traffic, and that ends up making Bosell and A.J. Foyt and maybe one other car a victim. And so they've been pleading the case to no avail thus far. A.J. is still out there trying to make up nearly a full lap.
Well, that's the way it goes sometimes, and it's just, it's unfortunate, because that one little slip cost A.J. a full lap, and that's going to be tough to make up.
What I started to say before we went to Gary on the choice of taking one more lap before he came into the pits, you had the feeling, though, that A.J. made that choice in the car and was not made by the pit.
Well, it may well have been. You have fuel lights that you try to rely on, but there again, that's something that's mechanical or electronic, and it could go awry. And you watch for these lights, and you try to say, hey, I can get 2 more laps because the light just came on, and you know the sequence. And so you try to stay out there and take advantage of that. And it cost A.J. dearly that time, because obviously the light came on and he said, I can go 2 more laps, but he only made 1.
Danny Sullivan now trying to lap A.J. Foyt. Foyt a lap down. He's already been passed by Mario Andretti, and now Sullivan goes by him. And Sullivan now sets sail after Mario Andretti, who is leading. It is Mario Andretti, Danny Sullivan, Bobby Rahal, Al Unser Jr., and Al Unser Sr., all on the same lap. So 5 cars running on the lead lap.
Looks like Danny Sullivan may be trying to reel in Mario. We see Mario go by there with Bosell and then Sullivan. So he may be going to close in a little bit closer so he can keep tabs on Mario.
And Danny Sullivan is led for 31 laps. And there's Mario, and there is Danny Sullivan. The weather continues to hold in the mid-70s, and we've had that wind whipping around. But the wind doesn't affect the drivers here.
Well, it depends. It can if your car's not working exceptionally well, but
your car's not working exceptionally well. Everything.
Yeah, everything bothers you. You're right. But it's one of those situations where you don't notice the wind. It's just another aggravation to go along with the racetrack or the conditions or the situation. And so you're out there just racing, and you don't notice it that much. So, you know, I can't recall in all of the years I've raced where the wind was really a factor, except maybe in practice where you'd say, it's blowing too hard to be going that fast. I'm going to leave it in the garage today.
And this is the leader, Mario Andretti. And we are in Andretti country. Out in front, the Quaker State 500. We'll be back in a moment.
Walk back away from the scene. What happened, Danny? You obviously appear to be physically all right.
Well, I'm okay. Mario tried to go in underneath Dick Simon going into 3. From where I was sitting, I just thought it was a pretty standard pass. He looked like he was there, and he went in. And, you know, I mean, I'm not 100% clear because I'm, you know, 200 yards away from it, but it looked like Dick just came down. They tangled, put Mario in the grass. He spun, took him up, and he whacked the wall pretty hard, destroyed all the right side of the car. And when all the smoke and everything came, I was in there too hot and had to get on the brakes and just got the car crossed up and backed it into the fence.
So you become a victim on a day when it looked like you had a good shot at winning your second straight 500-miler.
Yeah, we were looking just strong. You know, I didn't care really about Mario's position at this stage. I was just sitting right there waiting. You know, just, okay, I'll bide my time and hold second place right now and running a pretty comfortable pace, and this, something stupid like this happens.
Thank you for your time, Danny.
Thank you.
Mario now being placed in the ambulance, and he'll be taken to the infield hospital, and we'll try and get a report on that as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Sally Larvick is with Dick Simon. Let's go down and join them. Sally?
I'm at the track hospital where they just have brought Mario Andretti. We'll get a report on him later on. In the meantime, we have Dick Simon, and Dick has been standing outside. He's been talking to family members of Mario Andretti. Dick, what happened out there?
Well, actually, Sally, my car was handling pretty good in 1 and 2, but we were laps down, actually, from having a water pump break off earlier, and we fixed it. We were running pretty fairly well, except in turn 3, I couldn't run the outside groove, and I had been watching, but I just flat didn't see Mario come underneath me. So I figure it was my fault.
You cut him off?
I believe I cut him off, and I just didn't see him there.
You were talking to family members back there. What were you telling them? What were you telling Michael Andretti?
Well, I was telling Michael that Mario looked all right to me. I talked with Mario while he was still in the car, and he was okay, except for his shoulder was sore. Of course, he crashed earlier, you know, this season and hurt that shoulder. But I think he's fine. He looked up at me and said everything was okay.
How are you feeling?
Well, I'm very sick to my stomach because Mario was running very strong, and so was Danny. And for me, who was running some laps down, to be part of the cause of that situation, which I totally take the blame for, I feel very sick inside. We lost a car totally, and Mario lost his car totally as well.
Dick Simon, a gentleman all the way. Thank you, Dick. Back to you, Charlie.
Thank you, Sally, and we'll be back with more racing and a report on Mario Andretti in just a moment. Here are the current standings at the Quaker State 500. Al Unser Jr. is leading it. Bobby Rahal is second. Big Al is running third. And then a lap down, Roberto Guerrero and Derek Daly along with A.J. Foyt as the green flag is out.
Yes, it's back to racing, and of course, battle for the lead with Bobby Rahal and Al Unser Jr. Al Unser Jr. holding him off, and at this point, I think Rahal's probably still playing a little cat and mouse, wanting to hold up, make sure that he's going to make the right moves and get in the right position to win this thing. Bobby is hungry for this race.
And what happens also as far as the point standings are concerned is that he is 17 points behind Danny Sullivan, who of course is now out of the race. Danny Sullivan will probably not pick up any driving points at all, and that means a win here, and he moves into the front.
Yes, and it's that close, so I'm sure he's going through all of this in his mind, as well as taking care of the chores in the cockpit out there, so he's a busy guy right now.
Meanwhile, Al Unser Jr. has never won on an oval. His 7 successes have all come on road courses.
Yes, and that makes for a race, Charlie, a real race out there, because you see, Al is not going to let Rahal by, and they're very close friends off the racetrack. So I'm sure there's a lot of rivalry there that we don't even know about. But here's Al Unser Sr., who is a factor in there. He could be moving in.
Is running in third, and those are the 3 cars that you're looking. Those are the only 3 cars now on the lead lap. Little Al Unser, Bobby Rahal, and Big Al.
Yeah, not only could be good friends going for the lead here, it could be father-son.
So everyone now, after the accident, now kind of settling in. Rahal now dropping down, and Big Al going on the outside of him and through the turn, and Big Al's got him. He moves into second now. He'll be chasing his son.
I don't quite understand that move by Rahal unless he just wants to keep everything calm until the right time.
Now let's go down to Sally Larvick. Sally?
Mario, I know that you're feeling bad, and I appreciate you giving us this time. First of all, how are you?
I'm okay. I come out okay.
What is bothering? I noticed your suit is torn, and you got a bruise on your hip.
Been in there pretty good, but luckily no broken bones, so that's the main thing.
Dick Simon told us his version as to what happened. What happened from your viewpoint?
Well, he said he didn't see me. When he's going that slow, he should be looking around more. And he was in the way all day, unfortunately, and especially when the leaders come around, he should have a little more courtesy than that, because to me it looked like he took a wide enough apex in the corner to let me by, and then I had to go clear into the grass, and he kept coming in. I had no chance. So a guy like that should not be running, in my opinion. He creates too much problem.
You were running so well at the time. The car was working perfectly for you?
The car was running fine, and we were running just good enough, and I just felt very good about the race, and I felt like we had a real shot at it. We needed it too, so just very disappointing, of course.
Mario, I want to thank you for giving us this time. We know that you're not feeling well, and thank you very much. Mario Andretti, always gracious. Back to you, Charlie.
Thank you, Sally. That yellow of the accident was the 8th caution that we've had today. Just for your information, the record is 10, 3 different times, and during that interview, as you saw, Al Unser Sr. has taken the lead.
And he is not wasting any time and opening up a gap, Charlie. He is
really running
out.
well.
Yeah, he really is. He's obviously his car is extremely good, and he's going to let everybody know it at this point.
And he's not racing a full season.
No, he's just doing the 3 500s for Roger Penske, and he has looked good in the other 2. Was a factor in both of the other 2, but had some problems. If he doesn't in this one, this may be the one that he pulls out and takes the victory home.
Al Unser Sr. leading, Al Unser Jr. running second, Bobby Rahal is third. Those are the 3 cars on the lead lap. A lap down, Derek Daly, Roberto Guerrero, and A.J. Foyt, and 2 laps down, Scott Brayton, John Andretti, Howdy Holmes, and Gordon Johncock. We'll be back in a moment. We're back at the Quaker State 500, 5.5 laps to go, and Bobby Rahal, 2-time defending driving champion, is leading in the standings. He has not won this year. It is Bobby Rahal, Al Unser Jr., then Derek Daly. If he stays there, that'll be his best finish of the year, best of his career. And you saw Roberto Guerrero, Raul Boisel. And here's what happened to Al Unser Sr. while we were away. He came into the pits, slowed down. And all of a sudden, he who had been running so well had all kinds of problems. And the bonnet comes off, and
when the engine cover comes off, you can figure it's just about over, especially this late in the race.
Also, while we were away in the pits, a disastrous accident. John Andretti, we understand he hit a bump. It threw him against the pit wall. The car completely split.
The car broke in half. Both side pods are gone. That's the bottom of the cockpit section, Charlie. There's the back half with the engine and the rear wheels, and the side pod still hooked to it. It's amazing that he came through this with his little. There's the wing stuck in the wall where he made contact inside, and there's Aldo, his dad, who is obviously very, very concerned.
Aldo is Mario's twin brother, and here's John, and John, of course, is the cousin of Michael Andretti, and he's being put into the ambulance. And
that's the cockpit section, and
his wife's
his wife.
Let's go down to Sally. Sally has reported at the hospital.
I'm standing just outside the track hospital doors where John Andretti is being examined. The Andretti family is with him. We're waiting for a report from the doctors, but at the scene I talked to Dr. Dave Crippen, and he said that John Andretti's injuries were not as bad as they looked. He said the neck brace was put on him as a precautionary measure. He may have some orthopedic injuries and some other injuries, but he was alert and he was doing okay. We're still waiting for a full report from the doctors. Back to you, Charlie.
All right, thank you, Sally, and everybody has their fingers crossed on this one. And Debbie Rahal, her fingers are crossed because Bobby Rahal is leading. And here he is in the Budweiser #1.
Bobby has done a proper job today, as you would say. He's been right at the lead or right there strong all day. When they dropped the green flag, he was sitting back there waiting, and now his time has come. He's up there in the lead, going to win this thing if nothing happens between now and the checker.
Earlier we talked with Bobby Rahal and we asked about this particular season. It's been an up and down year.
This year we've I think run the whole gamut of emotions in every race. We've had great races where the car ran beautifully, like Michigan and Cleveland. Then we've had races that you know, you were looking for a gun to put yourself out of your own misery. You know, like in Portland. I mean, it was just awful, and the car has been reliable, and for a championship you've got to have that. But I don't think you can afford to or be complacent enough to feel that all you have to do is finish to win.
In the past, he has run very strongly early in the season and is built at the point. This year, he's not that good a start with the Judd engine, but he's beginning to come from behind. And a win here with everything that's developing will put him in the driver's lead, the lead for the Drivers' Championship with a lap to go.
And of course, that would be something unique, and he would be the first three-time or three-in-a-row winner of the championship, national championship in kart.
From a driver's standpoint, this has to be the longest lap of the day.
It really is. You sit back and take stock. You know you've got to be concentrating as hard as you ever have on this one to make sure nothing happens. Be alert for anything around you, anything that might develop. Here's a pass for third. Roberto Guerrero is taking third place.
From Derek Daly.
Tremendous racing here today, and Bobby Rahal is coming around that last turn, heading for the checkered flag, and he could kick it out of gear and coast from here.
And there it is, a checkered flag. Bobby Rahal has been racing Indy cars for 7 years. The victory today celebrated in the pits. At least one win in each of the 7 seasons. His total 18 career victories, his 6 on the oval, and his first oval win in nearly 2 years. And we'll be back to the Quaker State 500 in just a moment. Our congratulations to Bobby Rahal on his first victory of the year. Let's go down to Gary.
Well, the jubilant winner, they're always jubilant in victory lane, comes out, and this time it's Bobby Rahal. And at the head of the show, we talked about the man who's known as Mr. Reliable, a man who's had a great record of success at Pocono, a man who's had trouble winning in 1988, but here he is now in victory lane, fumbling with those straps after what turns out to be a long afternoon in the cockpit. Here's the hat. Bobby Rahal, this has got to be a moment of pure elation for you, your crew, everybody who's worked so hard this season.
Well, we hung in there, and we never gave up today. We were quick, but only on my own. I couldn't
juggling in the hat.
I couldn't get get going on restarts. They all blew by me. I mean, it was almost embarrassing to me to be out there. But luck, we had some good luck. I just hope with all these accidents that nobody's been hurt badly.
How tough today to the concentration with all the disruptions, with all the yellow flags?
Well, for me, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I was driving as hard as I could because we were a bit slow in a straight line, but the car handled quite well. And early on, it wasn't very good. We made some changes in the Bud car. You know, if nothing else, the Bud crew's the best. I mean, they got us going, and they kept us out there.
Bobby, congratulations. He's finished every one this year, the only driver to do so, and today he finishes it in victory lane. Charlie?
And Gary, a difficult day for the Andretti family. For an update, let's go to Sally.
Michael Andretti just came out of the in-track hospital. You seem to be the family spokesman for what has been a terrible day. How is Your cousin John.
He's doing all right. They're just going to take him and get a few x-rays on his foot. If at worst, he might have a broken toe or two.
A miracle in light of the way the car looked.
Yeah, from what I hear, he tore the front of the car up. So, you know, it's pretty tough. It's just, you know, these walls are just not safe anymore. And it's one of the things we talk about in the driver's meeting. So it's just a shame. It shouldn't happen.
Okay, Michael, thank you very much. Charlie?
Thank you, Sally. And here are the final results. Bobby Rahal wins it. Al Unser Jr., Roberto Guerrero, Derek Daly, Rahul Boisel finishes 5th. Gordon Johncock 6th. Howdy Holmes, John Jones, Billy Vukovich the 3rd, and Scott Brayton. So this means in the Drivers' Championship race that Bobby Rahal has the lead over Danny Sullivan and Al Unser Jr. They are close. Then it's Rick Mears. Michael Andretti is 5th. Rahul Boisel, Mario Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi, John Jones, and Derek Daly. 14 cars out of the race. 12 were running at the end, an accident-filled Sunday afternoon. But good news, Ari Lyondike, Mario Andretti, and his nephew John Andretti from the reports are all okay. For Johnny Rutherford, Gary Gerald, and Sally Larvick, I'm Charlie Jones. So long from Pocono.